This is Jarrod Horak, and in this video I'm going to recap the Breeders' Cup Saturday action. And we'll begin with race 5. That was the first Breeders' Cup race on the card, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And we saw 3-year-old filly Shesospicy from post 10. She was able to just get right out there, run them off their feet under Jarrod Ortiz Jr. and win this race nicely, paying $12.60 to win. So this was a big effort, and Ortiz Jr. was dangerous in these Turf Sprint Breeders' Cup races, because on Friday, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, he was able to be the winning rider in that race as well. Jose D'Angelo was the winning trainer, and then Jose D'Angelo and Jarrod Ortiz Jr. clicked right back in race 6, the Breeders' Cup Sprint. This race, 6 furlongs on the main track, and Bentornato, number 10, was right up on the pace and was able to win this race impressively, paying $5.40 to win. Now, my value top choice was Imagination for Bob Baffert and Juan Hernandez. Ended up finishing second, paying $7 to place. Dr. Venkman with Umberto Rispoli in the irons, $13.40 to show. And then the 4th and 5th finishers, American Stage from Japan, and then Copian from the inside post, ended up rounding out the super high 5 there. Now, in race 7, it was the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and we saw Scylla just get out there and run them off their feet. A big display of early speed here and stamina as well, because she was able to go the whole 1 1/8 distance and just run away with this race. Impressive win. Now, Seismic Beauty was the favorite for trainer Bob Baffert. She was expected to be the pace setter in here. She was coming off of a victory in the Grade 1 Clement L. Hirsch at Del Mar at 1 1/16. She had won all 3 of her route starts going wire to wire. So with the track forwardly placed runners doing well Friday and Saturday, she looked like she could be tough on the front end, but she wasn't able to get to the front. She had a stutter step start, and she wasn't able to make the lead. Scylla and Junior Alvarado, they were able to take advantage of that situation, go right to the front. And this was a good consolation prize for Alvarado and Bill Mott, because their big hope for the weekend was going to be sovereignty in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But he had a fever and he had to scratch out of that race. But they were able to get this nice consolation prize, winning the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Distaff with Scylla. Nitrogen, 3-year-old filly from the inside post under Jose Ortiz, finished second. And then Regaled was third from post 13. And then Clico and Darth Vader rounded out the top 5. Now moving on to the Breeders' Cup Turf, the biggest upset for both Breeders' Cup days. And this was Ethical Diamond from post 14, coming in from overseas and stepping way up in class and paying $57.40 to win with a strong late kick in this event at 1.5 miles. Very surprising result here. Probably even a bigger upset than the $57. This horse was really hard to come up with, but big effort here. Definitely ran out of his mind in this event. And he also paid $21.20 to place and $16 to show. Rebels Romance, 2-time Breeders' Cup Turf winner, was second. El Cordobas ended up finishing third. And the second and third place finishers both trained by Charles Appleby. And moving on now to the Breeders' Cup Classic, and this was the big one. And everybody got to run the race that they wanted to run. Now, it played out just like it looked on paper, with contrary thinking out there setting the pace. And you knew that one would come back to the field at some point. And we saw all the horses just work out the trip that they wanted. Fierceness, tracking the pace from the inside. Forever Young, right up on the pace from the outside. And then we saw even Sierra Leone from the back of the pack. He got a decent closing trip. And he made his move coming around the far turn with Forever Young in front. We had Fierceness down on the inside and Sierra Leone closing. But Forever Young was able to have enough left to hold those horses off. So Forever Young at 7-2 paid $9 to win. Sierra Leone less than a length behind him in second. He was trying to repeat in the Breeders' Cup Classic in his final career start. It was a big effort. He just wasn't quite able to get there. And then Fierceness finished a solid third. Same 3 horses finished first, second, and third in the 2024 Breeders' Cup Classic, with Sierra Leone first, Fierceness second, Forever Young third. And Forever Young had the inside post last year. This time from post 5, he was able to work out a more comfortable trip, and he was able to get the job done in this event. So all 3 of the top 3 horses ran big races. No excuses there for any of them. Hats off to Forever Young coming in from Japan and winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. And we had Journalism, 3-year-old Journalism finishing 4th. mind frame, rounding out the top 5 in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And we're going to miss these horses like Sierra Leone and Fierceness will be retired. They've been outstanding. They had outstanding 2-year-old seasons, 3-year-old seasons, and even 4-year-old seasons. It was nice that they brought these horses back and they just continued to be at a high level of running in these big races. Exciting Breeders' Cup Classic this year. And in the 10th race, it was the Breeders' Cup Mile on the turf, and Notable Speech was just so much the best. Tracking the pace from an inner post, from post 2, under William Buick for trainer Charles Appleby, found room in the stretch and just exploded in the stretch with a big late kick and won this race nicely. He was in this race last year too, and he ended up hitting the board, wasn't able to win it, but he was coming off of a big win in the Woodbine Mile, and then he won the Breeders' Cup Mile as well. Now, Formidable Man ended up finishing second under John Velasquez, paying more than $13 to place. This horse absolutely loves the Del Mar turf course, so he was a horse for course, and he ran a big race. And then an overseas runner, the Lion in Winter, ended up finishing third. Rhetorical from post 11, Irad Ortiz Jr., tracked the pace, had the lead in the stretch, couldn't keep going, just was outkicked by those other horses. In the 11th race, the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, this was an exciting race, and Citizen Bull, aggressively handled under Juan Hernandez, was setting some fast fractions, trying to run them off their feet. And Nysos, the favorite for Bob Baffert, his stablemate, was tracking the pace inside, and it just came down to those two, and it was a head bob. It could have gone either way, but Nysos was able to get his head down and win this event. Very exciting. A Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, huge effort from Citizen Bull, a 3-year-old. Nysos hadn't run since the San Diego handicap. After that, they wanted to run him in the Pacific Classic, and he was entered. He had to scratch with a foot bruise. They wanted to run in the Breeders' Cup Classic for Nysos, but they ended up taking this race instead because he wasn't able to run in the Pacific Classic, and he was ready to run a big race here under Flavian Pratt. Nice effort, paying $3.40 to win. And then Chancer McPatrick for trainer Chad Brown, Jose Ortiz riding, rallied from off the pace to finish third. And then Tumba Rumba and Full Serrano, last year's Dirt Mile winner, rounded out the top 5. Finally, race 12, Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, another horse overseas, Gezora with a big late kick under Mikhail Barcelona, paying at 9-1 odds. Now, I think this one was like 7-2 morning line, so the odds definitely drifted up. This horse ran a big race and was able to catch She Feels Pretty, and She Feels Pretty was tracking the pace from an outer post and was able to have a clear lead in the stretch under John Velasquez for trainer Cherie DeVoe, but could not hold off Gezora here, and that one was able to just show that nice kick. A lot of times you see that in these turf races. These European horses can just outkick the U.S. horses. And then Diamond Rain ended up finishing third for trainer Charles Appleby. Then we had Cathedral, a big long shot, fourth. Bedtime Story rounded out the top 5. And that is a look at the Breeders' Cup Saturday races. And now we're going to look back at my Breeders' Cup full card highlights for both days, beginning with Breeders' Cup Friday. And for Friday, I ended up cashing in 6 of the 10 Breeders' Cup Friday races. And I had some decent payouts and some doubles and some pick 3s. I had the early pick 4, 4 top choice winners, 2 Breeders' Cup races I cashed on Friday. For my best bet was Explora, and I ended up having the exacta in that race because I had Super Corredora as one of my contenders as well, and she was just able to outfoot Explora early, and that made all the difference. Super Corredora was able to defeat Explora by less than a length. A good effort there, and that exacta did come back 58.80 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And then the other Breeders' Cup race that I hit on Friday, Ted Nafi, my top choice, he was the favorite, $3.60. He was impressive in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and he'll be your 2-year-old champion for Todd Pletcher. And now we'll put the Breeders' Cup Saturday highlights on the screen. And for Breeders' Cup Saturday, I ended up having 3 top choice winners in the 12 races, and I cashed in 6 of the 12 races. Had a nice 4-1 winner in race 1, Suchet, to start the card. Then I had the early double in Del Mar's third race. Had the trifecta there, Special Juan, Breath Away, and Medoro. Medoro was my top choice. I had that try. Had the early pick 3, early pick 4 as well. So I was off to a fast start. And then in race 6, the Breeders' Cup Sprint, my value top choice, my Del Mar price play, Imagination, ended up finishing second. I did have that exacta with Bentornato. That one paid $38.20 in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And then in the 9th race, that was the Breeders' Cup Classic. Sierra Leone was one of my best bets on the card. He ended up finishing second, had that trifecta, had the exacta as well, with Forever Young and Sierra Leone paying $34.20 of the trifecta for $120.40 in the Classic. And then in race 10, one of my best bets on the card, Notable Speech, was able to win that Breeders' Cup Mile. I had the double with races 9 and 10. And then in race 11, my top choice, Nysos, ended up winning. And I had the trifecta there as well in that dirt mile. And then I had the double in races 10, 11, pick 3, races 9 through 11, and then the double in races 11 and 12, and then the pick 3 in races 10 through 12. So overall, for the 14 Breeders' Cup races, I cashed in 6 of those 14 Breeders' Cup races. And for the 2 days overall, I ended up having 7 top choice winners, and I ended up cashing in 12 races on the 2 days. So overall, 2 solid days for the Breeders' Cup this year. The next year's Breeders' Cup for 2026 is at Keeneland, and I'll be covering those full cards way down the road. But for my channel now, I'm going to be doing a lot of news videos on my channel, my Horse of the Day videos that I do, my Del Mar Horse of the Day. I'm going to do it for their entire fall meet. Through the first 3 days of the fall meet, my top choices have 3 runner-up finishes in those videos. And I did a video for Sunday, November 2nd. You can watch that one on my channel, and I'll be doing those Del Mar Horse of the Day video shorts on my channel for their entire meet through November 30th. I'm going to be doing handicapping videos each week, news videos, how to use today's Racing Digest video series, my Road to Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks video series. I've already started those, and I'll cover each of the points races on the Road to the Derby and Oaks, and I'll be doing videos for all of those races in the coming weeks and months. So keep checking my channel for new content. Just about every day I'm going to have new content on my YouTube channel. We continue to grow, and let's keep growing this channel. And if you're interested in my full card analysis, I'm covering the entire fall meet at Del Mar through November 30th. And they do run on Sunday, November 2nd, have that full card done, and full cards every day. And I will email my full cards 1 or 2 days before race day, and I update tickets after scratches each race day. And don't forget to like, comment, and share these videos if you like them. Subscribe to my channel as well. It's free to subscribe. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody for purchasing my Breeders' Cup products and supporting my work. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.